Okay, welcome back everyone. In this video, we're going to be learning about work and energy. So we're going to be analyzing how the motion of a particle can be described using this concept. We covered in previous classes how we can analyze how particles move, what are the forces and accelerations and displacements and times, right? Using the equations of motion that we saw, the summation of forces. But we can do something similar using the equations that have to do with work and energy. In this case, we define work the following way. So when a force does work on a particle, it undergoes a displacement. So basically, if you have a particle and that particle moves a certain distance due to the result of a force, that's what we call a work. So pushing, for example, an object on the floor, if there's a force that's pushing that object and it moves a particular amount, then that is work being done. In this case, work has to be done in the same direction, or the displacement has to be in the same direction that your force is being applied. So work in this case, it's a scalar quantity. So we're going to be writing down. So work is a scalar quantity, meaning that work is not a vector, it has only magnitude, no direction. And the units that we use for work are in joules, in the SI, or also foot-pounds in the imperial system. So foot-pound or pound-foot, it just varies. We usually use foot-pounds. So work, once again, it's a scalar, meaning that it only has magnitude. And the formula for work, notice we have over here, du, it's equals to some force times ds cosine of theta. As you can see there from the image, the work is causing on displacements, which then this can be simplified into du equals to F times dr, a displacement right there. So whenever we're working with a variable force, so whenever our force is a function of time or a function of something else, it's not a constant force, this is the equation that we're going to be using. So work of a variable force will be the following. So we have the work done from step 1 to step 2. That's how we define it. It's equal to the integral from R1 to R2. Right? That's the position, right? F of the force dr. Or if you have it in other units, for example, or not units, but in other terms, for example, positions, just regular positions, S1, S2. Right, the position is 1 at state 1, the position at state 2. The work is equal to the force times the cosine of theta ds, right, with position. Both of them are the same formula. It's just that one of them is here and then, in the vector form when we use r, the other one is using the s term when we just do linear position, right? So that is basically, as you see below, that is integrating the area under the curve. So we have this force right here from state 1 to state 2, right? If we take the integral under that curve, that's how we're going to be defining the work. Or in this one, we have it over here in vector form, R1, R2, and that resultant vector, it's the work that we are calculating. So, but they're essentially the same thing, right? They're equivalent. Now, if you have a force that is constant, then we can also determine the work. So in this case, we have the work done from state 1 to state 2. It's equals to the force constant times cosine of theta times the change in position from state 2 to state 1. So this one can be summarized into force times the cosine of the angle where the force is being applied. You can see it down here, right? So the force might be doing an angle, but we're going to be using only the component of the force that is collinear with the direction of our displacement. And that is going to be equals then to this equation and multiply times the change in distance right there from state 1 to state 2. Now that's the overall equation for work. Now, different forces that we have already seen do cause some work. For example, the work done by the weight, right? We know the weight always acts downwards, so we can already have an equation that gives us that result. So the work done by weight is the following. So from state 1 to state 2, this is equals to negative W, which is the weight, times the change in height, change in y, which is once again the same formula. It's work times a change in position, in this case vertical position. In this case we write it as negative because it's usually, if our particle is trying to go up, right? If particle is trying to move up and the weight always acts down, then it will be causing negative work. But if both of them are going down, then kind of will add it into it. Now, similarly, you guys can find the derivation right there. It's on the book. I'm not gonna go through much of the derivation how we find that one, but just know that that is the formula for finding the work due to weight. Now, when it comes to a spring, we have also something similar. So notice that as you push the spring, you are doing a deflection, right? You are doing a deflection here on the spring. The string is getting compressed, so there's a change there in distance s. So the formula for work of a spring, or due to the spring force, is the following, where we have here, this one we can derive it quickly, so du is equals to negative force times ds. So this is going to equal force due to Hooke's law. This is negative k, the spring constant, times the position it moves, ds. So when you integrate, we'll get that u from 1 to 2, the work, it's equals to the integral from s1 to s2 of negative k s ds. So then the formula for work of a spring, it's the following. So the work due to a spring, so work from 1 to 2, it's equals to negative 1/2, and this will be k times s2 squared minus s1 squared. Notice, of course, the k is constant, so you can go out. K being that spring constant, the stiffness of your spring. So this is the equation for the work done through a spring. So these are the equations that we need. Once again, it's pretty straightforward for the formula for work. We'll apply it right now in the principle of work and energy, but that's all we need from this section. So I'll see you in the next video with the problems.